Greetings, Cleveland, and welcome to Creative Focus, the show that illuminates some of Cleveland's most talented and creative artists across the genres of dance, film, music, theater, and visual arts. I'm your host, Cornell Calhoun III, and I am thrilled to be at the iconic Playhouse Square, a place where Broadway, community, education, and economic transformation takes place right here in the heart of Cleveland. So I'm excited to have as my guest the CEO of Playhouse Square, Mr. Craig Hassall. Craig, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Cal.
I'm so honored and humbled.
Likewise.
You led Royal Albert Hall in London prior to coming to Playhouse Square. What immediately captured you about Playhouse Square here in Cleveland when you came in 2023?
Sure. Well, to be honest, I didn't know Playhouse Square existed when I was living in London. I had a random call from a search firm and they told me a bit about Playhouse Square and I thought, well, that's intriguing. So I came to have a look, and honestly, the thing that impressed me most immediately were the theaters, which, you know, people in Cleveland know these theaters, but I had no idea. I came here, I looked around and thought, here is a collection of theaters that are large, historic, in great shape and well attended. So it was a very captivating prospect to come and move my life to Cleveland.
Can you compare the theaters from London to Cleveland?
Yeah. Okay, people don't realize this, but the theaters at Playhouse Square, our largest theater, the KeyBank State Theater, is 3,200 seats.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's bigger than any theater in the West End of London and bigger than any theater on Broadway. And our second largest theater, the Cornell Palace, is 2,700 seats, which, guess what, is larger than any theater in the West End or Broadway. So we are so blessed to have these theaters here in Cleveland. It's amazing.
You once called Playhouse Square dynamic and visionary. How do you balance the history of these nearly 100-year-old theaters with innovation for new audiences?
That's a great question, and I had the same question when I was running the Royal Albert Hall, which is a very old building as well. It's even older than Playhouse Square, and people would always say, oh, you know, you're running this historic institution, and I'd say, well, yes, but I'm not running a mausoleum. You know, it's an old building, but it's a contemporary venue for a contemporary audience, and Playhouse Square is the same. We have these beautiful old theaters, but they are contemporary venues, so we must make sure they talk to a contemporary audience and provide contemporary amenities. So, you know, the bathrooms at Playhouse Square are not from the 1920s, you'll be relieved to hear. And neither are the shows on stage, or the bars, or the subject matter of our plays and musicals. So it's really important to keep what is on our stage and how we treat our customers as current for the modern time.
How do you make sure that the customers are welcomed and well represented?
Yeah, that's also a great question. There are two immediate ways we do it. First of all, we have the most incredible volunteer workforce called the Redcoats, which anyone who's, you'll see the Redcoats.
Right.
And that's a pool of about 2,000 volunteers who give their time to be our front of house staff. And they go above and beyond. They're well trained, they're well behaved, they're so friendly, and we get great feedback from audiences about the Redcoats. But the other thing we do behind the scenes is we have a thing called the NPS, which is a Net Promoter Score. And it's a qualitative survey. So when you come to a show at Playhouse Square, you receive an email saying, hey, tell us about your visit. And we want to know about the parking, the security, the concessions, the show, the lighting, the sound, the front of house staff, the bathrooms, the cleanliness, everything. And we measure all of this and we use it every day to inform how well we look after our audiences. So we take it very seriously.
Cleveland has nearly 40,000 season ticket holders annually. Why do you think the Cleveland audience is so passionate about the arts?
Well, I mean, obviously I've been here 3.5 years, I'm a little biased now, but I would say to you, the reason that we have almost 40,000 season ticket holders is because we have the best theatre district in the country. We program tremendous shows that people want to see, and actually there's an overarching reason that I believe that Cleveland has a really healthy appetite for culture. I don't mean just Playhouse Square, but I look at the Art Museum, the orchestra, the Rock Hall, our amazing theatre scene all around the city. We do great stuff here and people really respond to it.
In terms of running Playhouse Square, you know, Broadway tours are like massive and enormous logistics. What might surprise someone about running Playhouse Square on an everyday basis? What might be something that they would be surprised to find?
Well, I'll tell you something. This is interesting about particularly the Broadway mechanics. You know, Broadway is a huge machine.
I love that, Broadway mechanics, yes.
We can market that. Yeah, you can have that.
Thank you, I'll use it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Broadway machinery travels all around the country when a show decides to tour. We're very lucky because we're towards the East Coast, so we generally get the tours early in their run. We are a great venue for Broadway because we are a minimum of 3 weeks. But one thing people may not realize is that when a show comes here from Broadway, we augment the show with local talent. So often the orchestra is a combination of touring Broadway musicians and local Cleveland musicians who are very highly regarded by Broadway, by the way. So the level of talent here amongst our musicians is very high. And similarly, the crew, we have a local crew that support the Broadway show. Now, a big show like The Lion King, which is coming in a moment, that show needs a huge crew. And so we support the Broadway crew with the local crew. They have less than 24 hours to learn that show. And you've probably all seen The Lion King. That's a big old show. So our crew do an amazing job in picking up all these skills very quickly to support and be part of the company of The Lion King.
What's the idea behind the 3-week minimum?
Sure, it's really a feather in the cap of Cleveland that our audience is so strong that we can sustain 3 weeks minimum of these Broadway shows. Most venues around the country are a 1-week minimum. Now, if it's maybe Hamilton or Frozen or Wicked or The Lion King, places might go to 2 weeks, whereas in Cleveland we go to 4, 5, I mean, The Lion King is 6 weeks, for example. So we've got a great theaters and great audiences.
When you walk through a theater just before the curtain opens, is there anything that specifically goes through your mind?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't walk through wringing my hands worrying because I know everything's in good shape. I think the thing I look for always are empty seats. If I see an empty seat, I think, why have we not sold that seat? What's gone wrong? And it's not often that I see empty seats. I mean, despite the size of these theaters for the Broadway shows, they're usually pretty full, which is great.
Obviously, you've worked globally. What do you think Cleveland, how is Cleveland, you think, misunderstood by people who aren't Clevelanders or native Ohioans?
Sure. Well, let me give you, first of all, my impression of Clevelanders. So, I'm Australian, but I lived in London for a long time. So Australians are very kind of can do, we'll just get on with this and make it happen. The British are a little more reserved, a bit more like, let's just see how things go and let's not rock the boat. and Clevelanders are more like Australians than British, in my experience. And I don't think much of the world knows much about Cleveland, because why would you? Like, I didn't know much about Cleveland before I came to live here. Now I've been here almost 3.5 years. My observation of Cleveland is these people here are very, incredibly friendly, but not parochial, in meaning that people will invite you into their home, take you out on a boat on the lake and have you over for a barbecue, but not to kind of sell Cleveland, because they're genuinely interested in you and genuinely proud of what they have in the city. So that's my observation so far.
Playhouse Square's mission is education. I know that's important and essential. Why do you think the arts are so important for young people to get involved in?
Oh gosh, that's probably the best question you've asked me.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah. I've worked all my life in art forms that people say they call them high arts or elite arts, like opera and ballet and theatre, and that's rubbish. There's no high art. There's just good art and bad art. I have worked particularly to get young people into these art forms all my life, because I think if you don't inspire a young person, not necessarily just to be on stage, but to see a live performance, that might pass them by for their whole life. Just because, why would you go out of your way to go to a ballet performance or a musical? So it's incumbent on us to open young people's eyes and ears to the magic of live theatre. And we must keep doing that for every generation of young people, because it's such a wonderful thing to experience. Why would you deny a person the magic of seeing a live show?
What role do you believe arts organizations should play in this time of uncertainty in our society?
Sure. Well, I guess to answer that question, I would say the role that we should play is the same in uncertain times and certain times. There is a real obligation on the arts to reflect society, educate, challenge, and unsettle society to a certain extent. We did a musical, I think it was last year, called Parade, which was based on a true story of a young Jewish accountant who was working in the South about 100 years ago and was wrongly accused of murdering a young girl, and was going to be sentenced to death, and then he was given a pardon by the governor, and then he was lynched and killed by a mob. Wow. It was very moving. I mean, for a musical, it was incredibly moving, and the audience reaction was somber and intense every night. I mean, recently we did a show called Suffs about the suffragist movement, and it was interesting in that a lot of the issues of that show, which is again about 100 years old, the content rather, reflected how people were feeling right now in these uncertain times. So I think that theatre and musicals can help you understand the life you're living and the society that you're in, but also can celebrate the society you're living in. There's a great theatre company, Dobama, I'm sure you know. And I went to see a show at Dobama called Sanctuary City, with a two-hander about a month ago. And it was a very challenging piece of theatre, really moving, that dealt with the issue of immigration into the US. Now that's very topical.
Right.
And the way it was dealt with in the play was incredibly moving, but also educational and uplifting in what's a really tricky situation.
What excites you about Playhouse Square?
Oh
Craig?
My goodness, so much. I think I love how loved and respected and adored Playhouse Square is. We Every year we have a float in the St. Patrick's Day Parade and the Pride Parade as well. And you know, it's so amazing marching in those parades, and people sitting on the sidelines are screaming, Playhouse Square, Playhouse Square. I'm like, oh my goodness. So people love Playhouse Square. And I love that people love Playhouse Square. It's such an important part of the cultural fabric of the city. And I think that people feel welcome to come to Playhouse Square. It's not this sort of grand edifice. I mean, they're beautiful theaters, but I want to think that people feel welcome to come in, come to free events, come to ticketed events, just hang out. And that's what I love about Playhouse Square.
Looking into the future, what do you hope your impact will be on Playhouse Square?
Oh,
Craig
wow.
Hassall's impact when it's all said and done.
Yeah, it's interesting. I came here, and I've worked in various companies all over the world. I've worked in opera and ballet and theatre and events and all sorts of things. And there have been some times when I've been brought in to sort of rescue a company that's failing and having to sort out its business model and so on. That was not the case with Playhouse Square. I came here, you know, riding on a wave of success, despite COVID, from my predecessors, from Gina Bonacci and Art Falco, who had done the most amazing job. So arriving here to theatres that were well run, well managed, renovated and full, I thought, that's wonderful. What should I do? So I thought, well, I know what I can do. How about we go to the next level? Let's make Playhouse Square a true district and destination within Cleveland. Rather than it be a collection of theatres, let's expand so that we really make this a place to go. A bit like you'd go to the Flats or West 25th or University Circle. I want Playhouse Square to be a place you might just go on spec. You might have a ticket, you might not, you might want to have a drink or a coffee or meet some friends. Come to Playhouse Square. So that's the path we're on now. And I have to say, the Board of Trustees are fully supportive of this. The Mayor is very on board. And a lot of the things that we're doing is supporting the Mayor's own vision for a more pedestrian-friendly, safe, active downtown. So it's great that we're in sync. And you know, I'm a huge fan of the Mayor. He's doing a great job. So I want to help support his vision in our little patch of Cleveland.
And now I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay, go, Cal.
Rapid fire question.
Gosh, all
Ready?
right. Yeah, I'm ready.
Favorite theater tradition?
Oh, well, I was going to say standing ovation, but it's different because in Britain they don't really stand, but here they stand whatever the show's like.
Broadway show you never get tired of?
Oh, Hadestown.
Describe Cleveland in one word.
Surprising.
Most underrated thing about Playhouse Square?
Our security guards.
Dream performance or dream performer that you could bring to Playhouse Square?
Oh, Dame Judi Dench.
What do you do after the curtain?
Breathe out.
Craig, it's been an honor.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you,
being
Cal.
on my show.
I've enjoyed it very much. Wonderful.
Playhouse Square is more than just historic theaters. It's a symbol of Cleveland's creativity, resilience, and ambition. I'm Cornell Calhoun III for TV20. We are Cleveland and Creative Focus. Until the next time becomes our time, be well, be safe.